Hello and welcome everyone to the second installment of the German Wine from Home series. We are thrilled to have you joining our Vino Vinyasa yoga session on the Superwomen of Sekt. As you've seen from the many emails you've received from me, Danielle, and the rest of my team, this session is going to feature Morgan Perry, the Vino Vinyasa founder, as well as the newly crowned German Wine QueenEva Lanzerath. As we've mentioned, the class will kick off with a 45-minute yoga flow. From there, we'll transition into the comparative wine tasting. We do encourage interactions and questions throughout. If you have any comments, please feel free to drop them in the chat box using the toolbox on the lower half of your screen. If you have questions specifically, please use the Q&A feature, and that'll help our team as well as the host respond to your questions as quickly and efficiently as possible. And should you have any technical difficulties throughout, please feel free to flag that in the chat function as well, and our team will do our best to help get you back on track. So with that being said, I would love to introduce formally Morgan Perry, the Vino Vinyasa founder, who will lead us through the yoga session.
Hi, everyone. I know there's definitely some familiar faces on. I saw who's attending, and there's definitely some new people who have not attended. Our classes are, well, pre-COVID, they were definitely in person in New York, Austin, and Los Angeles. And now we're mostly doing classes in Zoom, a few in person here and there. But thank you so much. I'm really excited to work with Wines of Germany on this. This is actually our third class together. And this one is obviously for trade and press. And we're talking about sparkling wines or Sekts from female winemakers, which is super exciting. And I'm super excited to have Eva on to the German Wine Queen, who will come on later post yoga. And we'll talk about these wines in a little bit more detail. How it's going to work today, I hope you have your mat set up and some water handy. We are going to do about a 40-minute yoga flow. And during that time, I'll be talking about wine. So I'll kind of get you into position, and then I'll ask you to hold a pose for a few breaths. I'll give you some facts about German sparkling wine and then the wines we're tasting. And then we'll grab our wines out of the fridge and let them start to get a little bit less cold while we're in our Shavasana and just enjoying our, letting the facts sink in and letting our body kind of absorb all the yoga. And then we will get to our Q&A with Eva and our tasting. So if anyone has questions, please let me know now. Otherwise, let's go ahead and get started. Cool, I don't see questions. So let's do it. Let's make our way onto our mat. And just like any other yoga class, we're gonna start to focus on our breath. So I'm just checking my screen here. Just find a comfortable seat and start breathing in and out through your nose. And as you start to breathe, start to lengthen your breath. So inhaling and exhaling. Just finding a little bit of peace this morning. And I have found that really mindfully moving, mindfully breathing, and then we're going to be mindfully tasting. And hopefully you'll be able to taste these wines a little bit better today after we practice. So start to constrict the back of your throat, starting to make a little noise as you exhale. It might sound like an ocean sound. And just kind of letting it all go. From here, let's make our way to hands and knees. So we'll start with just a few gentle cat-cows. So shoulders over wrists, hips over heels. And then as you inhale, lift your head, neck, and chest up. And then as you exhale, chin to chest, navel to spine, lifting up that area between your shoulder blades. So keep moving with your own breath, inhaling and exhaling. And take any other motions you want here. So as you guys know, we're talking about 3 sparkling wines from female winemakers from Germany today. Sekt is the German word for sparkling wine. From here, let's make our way back to a neutral spine. And let's bring our left arm out in front of us like we're reaching for a glass of wine or shaking someone's hand. And then from here, bring your right leg out behind you, keeping it in line with your booty, toes pointing down. Breathing here, engaging your core. We're going to hold for a couple breaths. So in 2017, Germans consumed over 400 million bottles of sparkling wine and produced 380 million bottles of Sekt, most of which actually stayed in Germany. Start to bring that knee and elbow together, getting a little crunch in here, and then we're gonna make our way back to our neutral spine. Definitely be feeling that in your right arm. We're gonna switch sides, so right arm comes out, left leg comes back. We're gonna hold for a couple breaths here. So most Sekt was actually made from a base wine that was sourced across Europe, and then it underwent the secondary fermentation in Germany. So that was how it was made in the past. One more breath here, inhale, and then as you exhale, knee and elbow come to touch, and then coming back to all fours. From here, we're gonna make our way to downward facing dog. So you can get here either through a plank pose or just through lifting your hips back and up. So what we're looking for in our downward dog is a long, straight spine. You'll notice I have a bend in my knees, and that really helps to get that spine straight, especially if this is your first yoga practice of the day. I'm guessing for most of us, including myself, it is. Go ahead and just heel toe your feet back and forth. So downward facing dog, we want our arms to be shoulder distance apart. And if you look at your hands, they should be spread wide across your mat. Feet are hip distance apart. So not too wide, not too narrow, and really feeling this stretch through our spine. From here, we're gonna slowly walk up to the front of our mat, and we're gonna end up in a ragdoll fold. So feet are wide, about hip distance, grabbing opposite elbows, bending through your knees, and really releasing that lower back. You can rock back and forth here. So in the past decade, German Sekt has changed fundamentally. And this is really due to an increasing number of small estates, some of which we're tasting today. And they're really making a really great effort to produce premium Sekt these days. Go ahead and roll on up to stand. We're gonna meet in Tadasana. So most of you guys know Tadasana, standing at the top of your mat, but I always like to say you are standing mindfully. So we're pushing into all four corners of our feet, lifting up through our arches. Your feet can be hip distance like mine are, or you can have your big toes touching, whatever's more comfortable. From here, we're gonna start to engage our legs. So engaging our thighs, lifting up through our kneecaps, engaging that core, and then just roll your shoulder blades down your back. Palms are facing forward. So this is Tadasana. We'll meet here. We'll meet in a lot of forward folds, and we'll definitely be doing lots of vinyasas. So we'll get to that soon. Inhale, arms come up. Let's just take some little side stretches. So from here, just take a steeple mudra clasp. So first finger and thumb pointing up towards the sky. Inhale, get really tall, and then exhale, lean over to your right. Keeping your arms straight, just feeling this stretch in your side body. Inhale back to center, and then exhale to the other side. Just warming up our bodies. Inhaling back to center, and then exhale, we'll take our signature Vino Vinyasa wine glass arms. We do this instead of cactus pose if you normally take yoga. From here, inhale, get tall, and then exhale, little baby back bend. Inhaling back to center, and then exhale, forward fold, come all the way down. So we're gonna go through our first vinyasa together. We'll go through very slowly, just so you guys all know what a vinyasa is. So starting at the top of your mat, inhale, arms come up. Exhale, forward fold. From here, you're going to inhale and lift halfway. And this is really just making the back of your spine long, shoulder blades on your back. And then I'm looking down so the back of my neck is long. So that's the second step. Third step, plant your hands on your mat in front of your feet and then step back to plank pose. So plank pose is the top of a push-up. My arms are straight. Again, shoulder distance, hip distance for your feet. And then you're really trying to just hold your core here and then make sure you're kind of in one long straight line. From here, as you inhale, you're gonna push forward onto your tippy toes. Shoulder blades come in front of your wrist, and then exhale, come all the way down. So once you're here, you can untuck your toes and then just kind of make sure that your fingertips are somewhere near your ribs on either side of you. Inhale, start to lift up. So right now we're just gonna do a little low baby cobra with your elbows bent because we're not really warmed up yet. Exhale, back down. We'll take one more of those. Inhale, come on up. Exhale, back down, and then tuck your toes. We're gonna push back to that downward dog where we were earlier, either through plank or through all fours like we did. So that's our vinyasa. We'll be taking several of those, and I'll be cueing you guys, go ahead and take a vinyasa, or you can always skip and meet us in down dog. So that will be a way to keep us moving and flowing. And again, if you're feeling like it's challenging, it's a lot on your shoulders, feel free to just meet us in a down dog or a child's pose. I mean, this is wine yoga, so we can do whatever we want here. All right, so from here, we're gonna inhale, lift that right leg up towards the sky. And then exhale, bend through that knee, start to bring it towards your nose, or we're gonna step that foot through between our hands. From here, we are in a low lunge or a runner's lunge. Go ahead and drop that back knee, and then line your left fingertips up with your right toes. And then as you inhale, bring that right arm up towards the sky. So this is called easy twist, opening that chest up and looking up at those fingertips. We're just gonna stay here for a couple breaths. So in the 1800s, many Germans traveled to France, and they learned all about sparkling winemaking from the French. They brought a lot of these techniques back to Germany to produce Sekt. Go ahead and bring those right fingertips down. We're gonna come back into that runner's lunge, so lifting up that back leg, and then just try hopping forward towards the front of your mat, bend that back knee and spring forward. If it's not that easy, no worries. We're gonna meet in a forward fold again. Just feeling some luxurious forward fold right here. Rocking back and forth, taking a little break, and then we'll take that on the other side. So some of these Germans actually stayed in France, and they founded some famous champagne houses you may have heard of. So Krug, Heidsieck, Bollinger, Mumm, kind of an interesting fact. Go ahead and roll on up to stand, and we'll take that on the other side. So inhale, arms come up. Exhale, forward fold. So this is our vinyasa. Inhale, lifting halfway. And then exhale, planting those hands, stepping back through our plank pose. And then pushing forward, shoulders come in front of wrists. Exhale, chaturanga, hugging those elbows in towards our side as we come all the way down. So try to come down slowly. Untuck your toes. Inhale, lift up. And then this time, if you want to lift a little higher, maybe you straighten out through those arms. Maybe you lift your thighs off the mat. So this is called upward facing dog or cobra. Really pushing that chest through your shoulders. It should not feel like too much, but it should be a back bend, a little opening. And then tuck your toes under, push back to down dog. All right, so second vinyasa of class. From here, inhale, left leg towards the sky. And then exhale, bending through that knee, planting that foot between your hands. And again, if it doesn't make it, no worries, guys. This is wine yoga. We're going to drop our back knee down and then line up our right fingertips with our left toes. Inhale, left arm up. So in the 1900s, most Sekt was actually made using the Charmat method or the tank method. So this really focused on producing large quantities of sparkling wine rather than focusing on high quality wines. One more inhale and then bring those fingertips down. We're going to tuck our back toes and come back into that runner's lunge and then spring forward. And then again, hang out in this nice, lovely ragdoll, maybe rocking back and forth, side to side in our forward fold. So today, the focus is on quality sparkling wine from single regions, estate vineyards, monovarietals, and mostly using the traditional method. Inhale, come on back up. And we'll take a vinyasa. So inhale, arms come up. You guys know how this works now? Inhale and exhale. Inhale, lift halfway. And then exhale, plant those hands down. So you have the option here, if you are a yogi, you can always take a hop back towards your plank pose, coming straight into that chaturanga. It's totally optional, but I just want to offer it as an option. Inhale for your back bend of choice, either upward dog cobra or baby cobra, and then exhale, downward facing dog. So there are lots of quality levels for Sekt wines, which is a whole other class, honestly, but we'll discuss those a little bit more when we get to our tasting. So from here, bring your big toes to touch, bend through your knees, look between your hands, and then take a hop up towards the front of your mat. If you don't make it, no worries. From here, we're going to roll on up, and we'll come into chair pose from standing. So chair pose, everyone's favorite, least favorite yoga pose, right? It's very effective, but also not the most fun. We'll do a few of them. Nothing too crazy. Inhale, arms come up, and then exhale, sink low. So what you really want to look for in chair pose is you want to look down and make sure you can see your toes. Then you want to make sure you're not overarching your lower back. If you are, give a little tuck. And then make sure your arms are straight. Pinky fingers can spin in towards you. That'll help bring your shoulder blades down your back. So just keep breathing. Inhale. And exhale. All right, we're going to switch up our flow a little bit. Inhale halfway. Exhale, plant those hands. We're moving through our vinyasa, and then we're going to switch it up. So vinyasa, or you can always skip the vinyasa and just meet us in downward facing dog. Yogi's choice. So once we get to that downward facing dog, inhale, lift that right leg towards the sky. Exhale, bend through that knee, start bringing it towards your nose. We're going to plant that foot between our hands or get it there however we can. And this time, instead of staying down in our low runner's lunge, we're going to inhale and come on up for a high lunge. So high lunge, you want to make sure that your right knee is at a right angle over your right ankle. And then I always think about pushing my knee out towards my pinky toe side of my foot. Back leg is pretty straight and strong. Hips are pointing towards the front of your mat, arms are high. Make sure you're engaging your core here, inhale. And then as you exhale, spin open, teeing your arms out, spinning open to your left, spinning that back heel down. So you're pushing into the back left corner of your left foot and gazing over your right fingertips. Keeping that same bend in your front knee. So this is warrior two. Really strong yoga pose. Just breathing. Flipping that front palm as you inhale. Reversing our warrior. So keeping that same bend in the front knee, and this time we're trying to get that stretch on the side body, the right side. You can always take a half bind here. From here, we're going to move to side angle. So right forearm on top of right thigh, left arm is high. So similar to that twist we had earlier, really opening that chest up towards the sky. On our inhale, we'll reverse our warrior. And then just to keep it flowy, exhale, cartwheel hands down. Optional vinyasa, or you can meet us in downward facing dog. From our downward facing dog, bring those big toes to touch, bend through your knees, walk, step, or hop towards the front of your mat. And this time we're going to roll up to our chair pose. So from here, keep those knees bent and just roll on up to that chair pose. So the first wine we're tasting today, Peter Jacob Kuhn Riesling Sekt Brut. So this is made in the traditional method. Inhale here, and then as you exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Optional vinyasa, we're going to meet in down dog. So if you are moving through that vinyasa, go ahead and flow through. So the Kuhn estate has been a cornerstone of German winemaking for about 230 years, and it is passed down through 11 generations, which is really cool. From here, inhale, left leg towards the sky. And then exhale, plant that foot between your hands. And we're going to come on up into that high lunge. So setting ourselves up for success on this side. Just taking a breath. On your next inhale, open up towards your right side, spinning your back heel down. You want to make sure your feet are on the same plane, gazing over our left fingertips. So in 2004, the Peter Jacob Kuhn winery became organic and biodynamic certified. So they're also a VDP member. Pretty cool facts. So this is really just further ensuring the quality of their wines. Flip that front palm, inhale, reverse. Feeling this through our left side body. And then moving to side angle, left forearm on top of left thigh. Gazing up towards the ceiling, looking at right fingertips, getting this nice chest opening here. Inhale to reverse, and then exhale. You guys know what we're doing now. Cartwheel hands down, optional vinyasa, or meet us in down dog. So Riesling is the most important grape among VDP producers. 55% of all VDP vineyards are planted with Riesling, compared to only 23% across Germany as a whole. That was just kind of a fun fact. So we're going to repeat that one more time. We're going to skip out on the chair pose because I'm nice. So inhale, right leg towards the sky. Exhale, plant that foot between your hands. Inhale, come on up, high lunge. And then exhale, open up to your warrior two. So keep breathing here. Inhale to reverse. And then exhale, side angle. Let's actually hang out in our side angle this time. So if you want to deepen this, you can drop your fingertips down or even take a half bind. Otherwise, leave that forearm on top of your thigh and keep breathing here. So the second wine we're tasting is the Ramlad Cuvée Katharina Brut Natur. So this is from Germany's largest region, the Rheinhessen. Inhale to reverse, and then exhale, cartwheel hands down. Optional vinyasa, or you can just meet us in downward facing dog. So Sekthaus Ramland was founded by Volker and Heidi Rose Ramland. It was founded in 1990, and the house really only focuses on sparkling wines. From here, inhale, left leg towards the sky. And then exhale, plant that foot between your hands. Inhale, we're going to come on up to that high lunge. And then exhale, open up to that warrior two. Hopefully you're starting to feel a little bit more open right now. From here, inhale to reverse. And then exhale, left forearm on top of left thigh, or you can deepen it. We're going to hang out here in this twist just for a minute. So Volker Ramland is actually often described as the pioneer or the Pope of Sekt, which I thought was fun, since he arguably started this quality revolution of German sparkling wines. Pretty cool. Inhale to reverse. And then exhale, optional vinyasa, or you can just meet us in down dog. So we are going to hang out in a child's pose after this. So if you want to take that vinyasa, just know that we're going to have a water break and hang out in our child's pose. So for child's pose, just go ahead and bring those hips to your heels and walk your hands out. Take a water break if you need one. So this wine is made in the traditional method as well. It's made from 79% Pinot Noir or Spat Burgunder and 21% Pinot Meunier. So it would be considered a Blanc de Noir. Pinot Meunier, the German word is Schwarz Riesling. We'll see if I can just pronounce it a little bit better than me. But basically Pinot Meunier will add a little bit of fruitiness to this wine. And just a couple more nerdy facts while we're in our child's pose. 23% of the wine was fermented in barriques, 77% in stainless steel, and it spins 52 months, which is, I'm not good at converting months to years, so that's over 4 years on the lees. So a lot longer than a lot of champagnes. Brut Natur obviously means there's no dosage added, no sugar added, and there's only 1 gram per liter of sugar in this wine. So very yoga-friendly wine. And then again, nerding out a little bit, Malo was allowed to occur naturally, and then all of their vineyards are also organic. So really cool winery here. All right, so let's go ahead and meet up at the top of our mats in Tadasana. We're gonna talk about our next wine, which is a rosé. And we're going to talk about balancing. So I always do a little balancing. If you haven't taken my classes before, I like to make a joke. We're going to see how we balance now, before we have our wine, and then after our wine. But really, I also like to talk about balance because we need balance in our wine, right? And we need balance for yoga. So let's go ahead and get strong in our left leg. Let's lift that right leg up, and we're going to move into a tree pose. So coming into our one leg Tadasana with just our knee bent. If you are on carpet, I feel bad because it is hard to balance on carpet. So hopefully you're on hardwood floors. Bring that leg out to the side and then just finding your tree pose. So it could look like your foot goes above your knee, below your knee on your shin, or maybe you're on carpet and you're having a hard time and you're going to use your ankle as a kickstand. So we're just going to hold our tree pose, find something to look at that's not moving. So maybe not me, and just hang out here and feel this nice balance. So the next wine is the Villa Wolf Sparkling Rosé, made from 100% Pinot Noir, Spat Burgunder. From here, we're going to make our way into a one-leg Tadasana, where we just were with that right knee lifted. And then we're going to make our way to a warrior three. So what's gonna happen is we're gonna kick our right leg back behind us at the same time that we start moving our torso forward. For this, I like to keep my hands at heart center. It's a little easier. So inhale, and then as you exhale, kicking that foot back and leaning forward. So you might start to feel a little wobbly here. Bending that standing leg definitely helps. You're thinking about squaring your hips towards the ground. I have my arms in an airplane kind of pose, helps me to balance. Inhale here, and then as you exhale, come into a one leg forward fold. People call this standing splits. I call it corkscrew pose. Hang out here as long as you want. You can open up your hip. We're gonna meet in a forward fold, but I'm gonna hang out here because it feels pretty good. Meeting in that forward fold, so bringing our feet hip distance apart, and again, like we were doing earlier, rocking back and forth, side to side. So Germany actually ranks 3rd worldwide in area devoted to Pinot Noir. So this is after France and the United States. Almost 12% of the vineyard areas in Germany are planted with Pinot Noir. So I didn't know that before I was writing this class. Go ahead and come on up, and we'll meet in Tadasana. Well, actually, I learned that when I was writing the Spatbergener class that we did. So again, starting from our tree pose, we're gonna get strong in this right leg, and then lifting that left knee up. You guys know where we're going now. So make your way to tree pose. It might be different on this side. If you are feeling stable, you can bring those arms up. Again, just find something to look at that's not moving. So the sparkling rosé that we're ending with today from the Pfalz, one of Germany's largest regions, and they produce every 3rd bottle of German wine purchased domestically. From here, we're gonna make our way to our one leg Tadasana, and then as we inhale, bring those hands to heart center, kicking that leg back and leaning our torso forward. So you kind of want to look like a little T shape here. Maybe have a slight lift in your chest. Keep breathing. And whenever you're ready, feeling that in that right hamstring, right? Go ahead and drop those fingertips down, and then take any movements here you want in this standing split or corkscrew pose. So the Pfalz is in southwestern Germany, directly north of Alsace in France. Bringing that toe, bringing your foot down. Don't just bring your toe down, bring your foot down, please. And then we're gonna meet in that forward fold again. So the Pfalz is one of the warmer and drier regions of Germany. So grapes actually do really well here because they can achieve full ripeness pretty much every vintage. Roll on up to stand, and we're gonna take another little balancing challenge here. So we're gonna take a dancer's pose. There's really 2 versions of dancer's pose, and I'll show you version 1, and if you wanna move a little bit further, we can move into version 2. So let's get strong in our left leg again, since we were just working on our right leg. Give it a little break. We're gonna kick that right foot up into our hip, our booty, and then we're gonna reach back with our right hand and grab the inside of our right foot. So grabbing that right arch. Inhale, lift that left arm towards the sky. So this is version 1. If you're feeling wobbly here, stay here. If you want to go to version 2, inhale, and then as you exhale, kick your foot back into your hand at the same time that you lean forward, and then gaze over that front hand. So this is where you might have your wine glass, cheers your friends. We do that a lot in photos at our in-person classes. And then come on back to stand. Shake it out, and we'll take it on the other side. So getting strong in that right leg, kicking our left foot back, grabbing the inside arch of that left foot. Inhale, right arm comes up. And then exhale, maybe you are trying to go a little further. And if you fall, no worries, this is wine yoga. Just breathing if you're feeling stable, feeling this in your shoulder, your hip. And then come on down whenever you're ready. And shake it out. One more last little standing flow. We're gonna get some nice hamstring stretching in, and then we're gonna move down to our mats. So starting from the top of our mat, in our Tadasana, we're just gonna simply step our right foot all the way back. So we're coming into this high lunge here. From here, I'm actually gonna switch to this side. From here, we're going to widen our feet about as wide as the mat, And then we're gonna spin that back heel down. So this is setting up for like a warrior one pose, if you're familiar. From your warrior one, you're gonna straighten out through that front leg. Now our feet should be pretty wide, and that allows our hips to be squared. If they're still not squared towards the front of your mat, if both hips aren't facing forward, just go ahead and move your right foot over to the right, left foot over to the left. Once you feel good there, both legs are straight, hands come onto your hips, inhale. And then as you exhale, you're gonna start to lean over, bring your torso over that left leg. You should feel this in your left hamstring. If you feel it a lot, take a slight micro bend. You can bring your fingertips down to the ground, or you can leave your fingertips on your shin and keep your back strong and straight. So either one, whatever feels good for you. This is all about a hamstring stretch. Think about right hip moving forward, left hip moving back, pyramid pose. So this wine that we're tasting, the sparkling rosé, actually Ernst Lucen of the well-known Dr. Lucen estate took over this winery, the Villa Wolf Vineyards, in 1996. So when that happened, he launched a dramatic turnaround in the estate's quality and reputation. So go ahead and come on up. So if you're familiar with German wines, you've probably heard of Dr. Lucen. So from here, we're gonna move into triangle pose. So now I'm gonna bring my feet on the same plane. So just looking down, heel to heel or heel to arch alignment. And then both legs are straight and strong. I'm gonna tee my arms out to the side, just like we did in our warrior. From here, our movement is going to come from that front hip. And you'll notice my stance is a little bit shorter here. It's really whatever feels good for you. So I always give myself a karate chop in that front hip, that just to remind myself that's where the movement's gonna come from. And we're trying to keep both sides of our body long and not scrunch. So as you inhale, gaze over those front fingertips, reach forward. You're reaching for your Sekt. Give me the sparkling wine. When you can't reach any further, you're gonna tick-tock that left arm down and your right arm up. From here, you're just going to simply stack your hips. So you kind of give yourself a little pelvic thrust and stack that right hip over left, gazing over those front fingertips. So this is triangle pose. And you'll notice I'm scrunching in my sides. So I'm going to come up a little bit. Notice that if you're scrunching a little bit here. One more breath here, and then inhale to reverse that triangle. Exhale, we're coming back into that warrior two. And we're gonna hang out in our warrior two for just a couple breaths. Last sides of warrior two, make them strong. Feel it in those legs. So since 2011, the estate has been managed by a team, a young team that came from Dr. Lucen. So that's pretty cool. And that's the female winemaker. Inhale to reverse. And then exhale, cartwheel your hands down. Optional vinyasa, or you can just meet us in downward facing dog. So what Villa Wolf offers is affordable, classic Pfalz wines, and they're combining estate-grown fruit with grapes from contracted growers. They're all using sustainable viticultural practices. So kind of similar to what a lot of champagne houses do. From here, inhale, right leg towards the sky, and then exhale, bend through that knee, plant that foot between your hands, and inhale, come on up to that high lunge. So we're doing the same thing on this side, widening our stance. And then once we have a nice wide stance, we're gonna open up into our warrior one just for a second, pushing into the back edge of that left foot, and then straighten out through that right leg. Once we're here, we're gonna make sure that we're wide enough to where our hips are facing forward. Inhale. And then as you exhale, fold forward over that right leg, spinning your left hip forward and enjoying this nice little hamstring opener. So this wine, unlike the first two wines that we're tasting, which are made in the traditional method, this wine is made in the Charmat or tank method. And that's how you create affordable sparkling, right? One more breath here. Inhale, come on up. We're gonna make our way into our triangle pose. So bringing our feet onto the same plane again, and then opening up towards our left side. Again, if you want to remind yourself, this movement's coming from that front hip. Inhale. And then as you exhale, reach forward. Try to keep your side body long, and then tick-tock, left arm down, right arm up. Triangle pose. And again, you're opening up that chest, you're stacking those hips. If you feel it in your lower back, try stacking your hips. I want this to be a nice, long pose, really opening. Inhale to reverse. And then exhale, coming into our last warrior two of class. So this wine was fermented in steel, and it really produces this super bright, fresh rosé sect. I definitely think this is a patio pounder for sure. From here, cartwheel your hands down, optional vinyasa, or you can just meet us in down dog. So last vinyasa if you want to take it. We're going to meet in our downward facing dog. And then from our down dog, let's make our way back to hands and knees. So we started class with a couple cat-cows. If you want to take a few just to see how you're feeling now. Hopefully you're feeling a lot more open. I always like to try flipping my wrists and taking them that way. If you're spending time on the computer, this is really helpful. Stretch out your wrists. So my fingertips are facing my knees, moving through my cat-cows. I'm gonna make my way back to a neutral spine, and we'll just end with a couple little stretches and we'll get to our tasting. So inhale, left arm comes up towards the sky, opening the chest, and then exhale, we're gonna thread that arm underneath our body, underneath our right arm, and our left cheek and shoulder are gonna come on the mat. So this is called thread the needle. It should be a really nice shoulder stretch. Your hips are gonna stay high, and just you can shimmy around and find what feels comfortable for you. But I usually end our classes talking about food pairings. Sparkling wine is definitely one of my favorite food wines. I'm sure all of you guys agree. I am not one of those people that drinks rosé only during rosé season. I'm certainly not one of those people that drinks sparkling wine only for celebrations. I think they're both great with food. And talking about just sparkling wine first, I mean, I'm a big fan of these wines with things like fried chicken, fried food, French fries. There's also the classic kind of oyster, seafood. But once we start tasting through these wines, I definitely want to see what you guys would want to eat with them, or what you're maybe going to have for lunch or dinner later when you have your leftover wines, because that's always fun. So let's go ahead and come out of that, coming back to a neutral spine, and we're going to take that same stretch on the other side. So inhale, right arm up towards the sky, and then exhale, threading it through. So feeling that same stretch. So for rosé, sparkling rosé and really rosé in general, you know, classic pairings are things like salmon, shrimp. But like I said, I mean, I think that a lot of sparkling rosé can kind of go with the same thing that sparkling wines can. And this particular wine, I think, is definitely that. I'm outside, it's nice out. You don't even need it with food. One more breath here. We're gonna make our way back to a neutral spine, and then make our way onto our backs. So I like to just kind of cross my ankles and come onto my back, but you guys can get there however you want. Just gonna check on our time. Okay, we're doing perfect. So we're just gonna take one little bridge pose here. So I'm on my back, my knees are bent up towards the sky, my feet are hip distance apart, and I can tickle my ankles with my fingertips. You're gonna think about squeezing, I don't know, a bottle of sparkling wine or a yoga block between your knees, and you're gonna think about engaging that core. My palms are facing down, pressing into the mat, and as I inhale, I'm gonna lift my hips up. Keeping those knees squeezed in. They don't have to be touching, but you just wanna actively squeeze in, and then maybe you wanna shimmy your shoulder blades onto your back and maybe take a clasp underneath. So just breathing and opening here, feeling this nice stretch. Squeeze that butt. You can definitely be lazy in this pose, and you wanna make sure to be really active. So squeezing knees together, squeezing chest, squeezing butt, opening chest, and come on down. All right, we'll take a couple little twists. So bring those knees into your chest, And then let your knees drop gently over to your left side. We're gonna scoot our hips over to the right slightly, and then gaze over right shoulder if that feels okay on your neck. So hopefully you guys have learned a little bit about German Sekt today. Once we are done with our stretching, we're gonna grab our wines out of the fridge and then take a little Shavasana. So bring those knees back to center, scooting your hips back to center, and then let your knees drop over to the right side, scooting hips towards center, and then gazing over that left shoulder. If you want to deepen the stretch, I have my right fingertips on the outside edge of my left knee. So when the Wine to Germany team was like, do you want to do sparkling wine by female winemakers? I was like, yes, that is so exciting to me. As a woman that's worked in the wine industry for about 15 years, it's always super cool to see other powerhouse women and female winemakers. So I'm excited, and Eva is the new German wine queen, so I'm super excited to meet her and hear about her story. Bring those knees back to center. We're gonna end with a happy baby. So bring your knees in towards your armpits, grab the outside edges of both feet and rock back and forth side to side. You can always modify by bringing the soles of your feet together or straightening one leg then the other. Any other poses that you guys want to take right now? If you have a shoulder stand, a headstand, a plow pose, now would be the time. Otherwise, I'm going to grab my wines out of my fridge. I encourage you to do the same. And then we're going to enjoy a Shavasana for about 2.5 minutes. So we are going to get to lay on our mats and have, that's the best part of yoga class, right? So we can't deny that. Slowly start to find some movement, wiggling fingers and wiggling toes. Those knees into your chest. Roll to one side and then slowly come up to a comfortable seat on our mats. So just take a minute. We want to stay in this really zen place. We need to get to our tasting. So if you are not tasting your wines on the floor, make your way to where you're tasting. If you are tasting your wines on the floor, that's awesome. I've been doing a lot of these classes and eventually I had to stop tasting wines on the floor because it's just not that comfortable. So let's make our way to our computers. And we'll get to the fun part. All right, so just a couple of reminders to everyone. We are going to try to keep the chat for chat, just comments and fun things. And then if you have an actual question, you can use the Q&A button at the bottom. So I have a Q&A kind of lined up that I've already thought about for Effa, but if you guys have additional questions, obviously please ask them. If you have technical questions about the wines, outside of what I've kind of said and the tech sheets, obviously I don't work for the wineries, but we have the Wines of Germany team on and they can answer any other technical questions that you guys have. Hopefully you have your tasting sheet and your wines. So I'm going to pop open my first bottle and let's get Effa on here. So let's see, she can Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm really good. Thank you.
It's so nice to meet you. And when were you crowned the German Wine Queen?
2 or 3 weeks ago. I'm not sure yet. It was the 25th of September.
Oh, wow. So it's really new. So congratulations on your new title. That's amazing.
Thank you.
I know that we had one of the German wine princesses on one of our classes before, and everyone was super interested in learning about what that means. So can you tell us a little bit about what it means to be the German wine queen and what's involved in the competition and how they determine who gets to be the German wine queen?
Yes, sure. So normally we have 13 young women which are in the contest for the German Wine Queen, but of course this year was different, and because of Corona we had only 7 women in this contest. And
oh wow.
Yeah, so normally we have 2 competitions. The first one is more about wine knowledge, and we have to answer wine questions in English and German. And the main competition is live in the TV, and that's more about personality and how you can bring up the wine. And so we have little games in this competition. We have a blind tasting, and we have to do a free speech and something like that. And so there are, I think it was 60 or 70 people who can vote for you. And so we have 1 round, and then they decide for 3 people who get 1 crown. And after that, we have the big final. So we have to do a free speech again. And then they elect the new German wine queen. And of course, I was really surprised that they elected me. I've never expected that.
Well, you entered, so you had to have some hope, right? Did you have does your family have any sort of wine, or what's your background in wine?
Yeah, so I haven't got.
And I'm gonna start
background.
drinking, by the way. So cheers.
Yeah, of course. Cheers. I
Friday.
have to put something in my glass. So I have no winery. So I love wine, of course, but my main job is a teacher. So I'm going to be a primary school teacher, so something totally different to what winemakers do. But we have some vineyards, and we bring our grapes to an association, cooperative association. So in German, you call it Winzergenossenschaft. And so especially with my grandparents, I spent a lot of time in the vineyard since I was little, and I grew up with it, and it's my passion, and I love to be outside in the vineyards. And my boyfriend is a winemaker as well. He works in a winery, and it's lots of fun to be part of this culture, and to be part of the wine.
That's really cool. So you got your day job, your school teacher, and then you have this whole fun kind of side gig. And I learned that, yeah, being a German wine queen or princess, because there's one queen and two princesses, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So it's basically, you're kind of like a brand ambassador essentially, right? And in non-COVID times, you're traveling, you're going to events, you're talking about German wines all the time to people. They kind of send you everywhere. And then of course you're doing all the 2020 kind of social media posts and all that, right?
Yeah, that's right. So normally we are traveling around the world and we present our winemakers and especially the wine. But yeah, at the moment we're doing a lot about social media and of course, like wine tastings, online wine tastings, or a yoga class like today.
Hopefully you enjoyed it. Was this, you don't really practice yoga, right? So was this your first time?
Yeah, right. It was my first time doing yoga and I loved it. I feel
That's
so
so cool.
relaxed and open and yeah. So now
That's so
I really
awesome.
drink some sekt because I feel like that to have some sparkle in me now.
Yes, yes. So I want to jump in and talk a little about the wines, but I mentioned earlier, and maybe you can just give us a quick overview of, there's a couple different quality levels for German sparkling wine. And I know this is kind of all German wine, right? There's quality levels. And can you just give us a kind of like a little overview of these 4 quality levels?
Yes, so it sounds really complicated. Often in Germany, you say, oh, all the quality levels and the wine labels are so complicated, but it isn't. Actually, we've got 4 quality levels, and it starts with the normal Sekt. And this is just any sparkling wine when you find in Germany. And after that, we have German Sekt, Deutscher Sekt. And the special about German Sekt is that we have sparkling wine just made in Germany. So we have the grapes from Germany, and you can do it either with the tank method or the traditional method. And then we have a little difference. It's German Sekt BA. So that means that you have to get the grapes out of the 13 wine regions. So you can not do like Pfalz and Rheinhessen together in one Sekt. So you have to get the grapes from only one region. And at least we have the Winzer Sekt. It's something really special because Winzer Sekt is individually. So it's just something special. Every single bottle has a surprise in it because everyone is so different. And the thing about Winzer Sekt is that you have more things to do, like you have to be 100% estate grown, you have monovarietal fruit, you must be vintage the grapes dated, and so yeah, you have some rules to follow.
Yeah, so it's estate grown, monovarietal, and then vintage, traditional method, and then they have an amount on the lees. So it's like the very like almost like, I don't know, would that be like a clos in Champagne because it's all from the same like well, I guess that's the same vineyard, a clos, but anyway, yeah, that's really cool. I'm gonna actually, I know that's a lot for everyone, and I was like, I can't fit this into my yoga class, but I'm gonna chat in kind of like these facts just for everyone here because I think it's useful to just kind of see it and know it, and if you see the term, what it means, and yeah, I think that was a great overview. So thank you for that. I think that's important. But I do want to start talking about the wines, and of course, hopefully everyone got their wines in time. The first wine, the Peter Jacob Kuhn Sekt Brut Riesling. So good. Yeah, I want to talk a little bit about so Peter Jacob Kuhn is obviously not a woman. So I want to talk about who are the female winemakers involved in this wine.
So yes, we have a lot of female influencers in this winery. So we have Victoria Kuhn, his wife, then Angela Kuhn, his mom, and also Sandra Kuhn, his sister. So we have 3 women in this winery, and these 3 women, they give the whole power in the winery, I think. So only 1 boy and 3 women. That's really good for us. I really like it, and the special is that this winery is, I don't know how to say it in English, like it's in the 10th generation, so it's over 10 generations.
Yeah,
This
yeah,
family,
yeah.
how
It's.
is
I
it,
think
is
they're
there a
currently
special
on the
word, or?
11th. Yeah, it's. I think they're currently on the
Okay.
11th generation.
Yeah, right. So I think that's really special that this winery is for such a long time in this family. And the other special thing is, you said it before that we have a biodynamic farmings. Do you say it like that in
Yes,
English?
biodynamic.
Yes.
Yes.
So this is really special as well because they work really close with the nature. So they try to connect the soil and the climate with the grapes, and it's really special and a lot of work, and it's not so easy. And only a few wine growers doing that, and yeah, they can make really special sekt and also wine.
Yeah, I'm honestly fascinated by biodynamics. I don't fully, I understand the concept of it, but like in practice, I'm still kind of like wrapping my head around it. But I think it's super cool, and I do always love the wines. So I mean, I think this is a really great reason. I don't know exactly like. I didn't have a tech sheet for this, so for you guys at home, like I'm not exactly sure on like dosage and all that, but it's obviously sekt. It's I mean it's obviously dry. I think it's great. This is from the Rheingau region, right?
Yes.
What else should we know about the Rheingau?
Yeah, Rheingau is really special or known for the Riesling. We have nearly 80%, so it's nearly the highest growing Riesling region. And another cool fact I say is that they invited the Spätlese, called late harvest, I think, in English. I'm not
Late
sure.
harvest.
So it's a really special wine, and it's a quality level wine. It's a really high quality level wine, and they produced it in 75, and I think it's just really nice to know that. It was a question in the competition as well. So
Oh, that was one of your trivias. What was the question? It was which region was the first Spätlese produced from?
Yes, and the year, we have to set the year.
Oh.
It's something really special for the Germans, and especially for the people and the wine growers in the Rheingau. So if you are there, mention it. And the other special thing is that Rheingau is known for the hock. Do you say hock?
Hock. Yes.
Hock.
Yes.
Yes. So hock. You often hear it in England that some people say, "I would like to drink a hock." And this connection comes from Queen Victoria. So in the past, she went to the Rheingau and she tried some really nice white wine and said, "Wow, this wine is so special." And then this special sentence, "A bottle of hock keeps off the dog." And the sentence was so good that all people thought, "Wow, this wine must be so special. I have to buy some." And so
good marketing.
Yeah, it was really good marketing. And for that time, the Rheingau was one of the most expensive wine growing regions on the wine list in the whole world. And
oh, wow.
these are the special things about the Rheingau.
And the word hock comes from, there's a town, right? That's called like Hockheim. And so that's where the name hock, because I'm like, when I first saw that too, I was like, what does hock have to do with Rheingau? But there's a little town that's called Hockheim. And so that's why Queen Victoria started calling it hock, and it became really popular. So that's really cool. Anything else about this wine besides being biodynamic that you wanted to touch on?
I think just something about the Riesling again. You said a lot to Riesling, but Riesling is our most famous grape variety, and it's such a good grape variety because we have it all around us. So we can do so many wine and so many sekt, also good base wine. And and just it's our queen, of course, in Germany, and maybe a little bit of the aromas you have in the nose, because sekt is special to have a nice fruity aromas together with this sparkling and the bubbles. And maybe we all can just discuss a little bit about it. So often you have like lemon or citrus aromas, but I think in this one, it's more like peach. So for me, it's peach, but I don't know. So
for me, it's like peach pie because it's got like a little bit of that like brioche kind of thing going on. And yeah, for me, it's definitely like a pie crust kind of thing too. Yeah, it smells really yummy, and then it's like super concentrated flavors. I think it has a lot more flavor than some sparkling wines. I mean, this wine is $27.99, so it's definitely a value sparkler considering it's made in the traditional method. And I think it's a great bang for your buck because you're getting a lot of flavor. And like that's what I found with sparkling Rieslings too. You're just getting all those aromatics and all that flavor, and it's just like so fun too. Like so fun to bring to a party a sparkling Riesling versus the same old kind of thing that you're usually bringing to a party, which might be in the US, it's like Prosecco is really big. So, it's like you get your, $20 bottle of Prosecco, but this is so much more interesting to people because most people haven't even had a sparkling Riesling in the US. So it's really cool.
Yeah. And it's brut, so it's more like it's dry, so it's really dry. But I think it doesn't taste like that dry because of the bubbles and the sparkling. It's more a good smooth. It's round in the mouth, so it's not too dry.
Yeah. Okay, I have a couple questions, and the pricing is the SRP pricing, so it's not the wholesale pricing, John. I'm pretty sure. Stephen can chime in if I'm wrong. And then Claudia, do winemakers grow or farm Riesling for Sekt any differently than growing or farming Riesling for still wine? So I don't know the answer to that, but I don't know if you do, Effa, and if not, maybe Stephen can chime in.
Yeah, so of course we have some difference between the base wine for Sekt and the normal wine. So the differences are that often we go and harvest the grapes a little bit earlier because we want to have a higher acidity. Yeah, right, a higher acidity, because the acidity together with the sparkle makes the Sekt so special. And there are some other aspects which are good for the base wine. So often we try to get the grapes from a cool area, so that the acidity is high, of course. And I think there are some more facts. Let me just check that up, or maybe our German team can help us. But it was a question for me in my contest as well. So
it's so funny that we're asking you the same questions that you got asked in your German wine queen competition.
I just tried to remember what it was. So yeah, it was base wine, it was the sugar level, it was the acidity. Also the pH level is important for the base wine. But I think, maybe there are some other aspects.
That makes sense though. It makes sense that they'd want a cooler climate, like within Germany, and then harvesting earlier. So I think that definitely all makes sense. Okay, so I want to show our bottle that we were just talking about, the Peter Jacob Kuhn. And we're going to move on to our second wine. And our second wine, which I'm about to pop, is the Raumland Brut Natur. So this may be slightly drier, I'm guessing, because they don't add, oh God, that was a horrible opening, guys. Sorry, really trying to control that and it did not work. So let's get on with it. I'm going to give myself a little pour, and let's talk a little bit about this wine. Let's talk first. We're talking about female winemakers. Cuvée Katarina. So is she the winemaker, or is it someone different? Will you let us know who the winemaker is for this wine?
Oh, yeah, let's see. I have the wine number 2. Great. Right. So Sekthaus Raumland, or Raumland in Germany, you say Raumland, is really special for sparkling wine. So you said it, that the Sekthaus is was founded by Volker and Heideros Raumland, and now the 2 daughters, Katharina and Marie-Louise are sliding in the winery, and they have a lot of passion, and they wanted to do a great sect as well. And yes, we have these two female winemakers in this winery, and I think these are our future, and yeah, they will do great German sect for us. And Raumland is one of our, yeah, not the biggest, but one of the bigger sect makers in Germany. And it's so cool because they do a lot of sect, but they do it in the traditional method, which is so much work, and you need so much time in it. And it's not like we put the sect in the tank and just leave it there. So they have, yeah, all this passion and love for high quality German sect.
So Katerina is the winemaker and the daughter, and the wine is named after her.
Yes,
Does
right.
the other woman, Mary Louise, I wonder if there's a wine named after her. Probably, right?
Yeah, I think there's a sect named Marie-Louise as well. It would be
really
unfair if not.
Yeah, it would be unfair. Yeah. And I was also really excited about this wine because they focus on only sparkling, which is super cool. And it's $23 for this traditional method. They're also, all their vineyards are organic. And obviously a lot of work going into that. So I just think it's super cool. This family owned kind of traditional method is doing this, and it's like such a great value. So I am really excited. What else should we know? So this wine is from Rheinhessen, the Rheinhessen.
Yeah.
What else should we know about the Rheinhessen region?
Yeah, Rheinhessen is our largest wine region in Germany, and in Rheinhessen we grow many grape varieties. So we have Riesling, Pinot Noir, Pinot Blanc, Müller-Thurgau. So we have lots of different grape varieties, and also different soil. So we can have individually wines and also sect. And yeah, special is that there are not so many hills, so it's more easygoing wine region. And I think the most important thing today for us is that the first Winzer sect was produced in Rheinhessen for, I think, over 30 years. And this is really special for us today because we're talking about sect and also Winzer sect. And they discovered the ice wine. Ice wine is one of our highest quality levels in wine in Germany. And the thing is that it's really hard to make ice wine, and because of the climate change, I think if you have ice wine at home, save it. It could be a relic. Really expensive in a couple of years. And these are the two important facts about Rheinhessen. And also one of the German wine princes are from Rheinhessen. And her name is Eva as well, or Eva. And it's a good friend from me, and she has a winery as well in Rheinhessen. And she's the wine princess.
Oh, that's cool. So, and just to remind you guys that the founder of this is he's known as like the Pope of Sekt, which is really cool too. And that's like another reason why I was super excited about this. So talking a little bit about this producer and the family, I know they founded it. What else should we know besides that we know that the daughter's the winemaker now? What else should we know about this wine? Oh, the other thing I wanted to mention again was that it's pretty much 80% Pinot Noir and 20% Pinot Meunier. So this, if we were in, you would call it a Blanc de Noir. Do you guys use those kind of terms in Germany too?
Yes, Blanc de Noir, but
okay.
So we have a cuvée here. Do you say cuvée in English as well?
Yes.
Okay, so a cuvée, and often winemakers use a cuvée for a base wine or for a sect, and it's really nice because you can get different things in one sect. So we have really nice fruity aromas from the Pinot Noir, and also other aromas and other positive things from Pinot Meunier. And if you put these two special things together, you can create such a really nice sect. And it's not that easy to find a good match, and this makes it so special, and I think also so expensive to get, yeah, these two things together.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, I think it's so lovely. Like,
Yeah.
again, for $23, it's it just smells so good. What would you want to eat with this? What would you want to eat with these wines? We didn't talk about it with the Riesling, I forgot, but are there like foods that you traditionally pair with sparkling Riesling versus like regular sparkling wine?
I'm often for everything. So I just like to drink what I like with my dish. But with this one, yeah, it's quite hard.
I mean, I would say
it needs to be something with a little bit of aroma too, so that you have not too much aroma in the sect.
It's a really delicate kind of sparkling. And I think it's fun to compare this with the Riesling, which was like so kind of intense aromatic. And like, this reminds me of basically like they're making it in a really delicate way, right? Like they're kind of like manually harvesting, they're like whole cluster pressing to preserve fruit. Like it's just like made in this like really, you can tell that it like they put all the time, energy, and effort in to make this like super delicate wine. So I would say like, you know, lighter kind of dishes, like nothing too heavy. Like I would still probably have this with fried chicken, honestly, but I would also have it like with, I mean, you know, I have sometimes sparkling wine because it's got the acidity. Like I sometimes have it with like a salad with some chicken or something, which I think this would be like super lovely with, because it's but yeah, this is awesome. And then this one also was aged on the lees for 4 years. So the lees are obviously the dead yeast cells. Most of you guys on this know that. So I'm trying not to get, you know, tell you guys stuff you already know, but 4 years is a long time, longer than most champagne houses are aging. You know, they're only required to age, I think it's like 15, 18 months. And so this is like, a lot of champagne houses will go longer, but 4 years is a really long time. And especially, again, time is money, and looking at the price point, I think this is like a really great value as well.
Yeah, and for the high quality also, you can say they use hand selection, and also they have no maceration, no mashing, no pumping of the juice. So they're doing all the best to create this special sect, and yeah,
very delicate.
It's so expensive, yeah.
Well, it's not. I mean, it's $23, like, which is in the US, it's not expensive, you know. And then also they're organic.
But for here it is.
for there it is. Yeah. It's organic certified too. So I think it's like just it's a great value. And I love Brut Nature. I think that's like really awesome. It's also old vines, which is really cool. So they're doing like really cool stuff. And of course they focus only on sparkling. So like it makes sense. And they started this whole like sparkling quality revolution. So does anyone have, let's see if there's any questions coming through. 52 months of lees aging. Yeah. And definitely getting from those lees. Yeah. The kind of tertiary flavors and like that, like even more, like I want to go back and kind of compare to the Riesling now.
And also you can compare the color.
Wow.
So you can see the color is so different.
Wow, that Riesling is like, it's smelling so much more like a super baked like pie kind of thing now. And this is still, it's definitely got like the kind of like brioche biscuity, but it's like way lighter and like way more delicate. So it's like really like night and day, but both really cool wines, both something I definitely want to take to a party. Do we all have the same vintages and disgorgements of the wines? I think so. Nimi, I think so. Because I think that the Wines of Germany team was like sending everyone the wine. So I think we have all the same wines. All right. Shall we move on to rosé if we don't have other questions? Yeah?
Yeah, we can.
So moving on to the rosé, the Villa Wolf Pinot Noir Sparkling Rosé. So I think this is the 2019. Doesn't even say on here actually. So this is the next wine. And obviously, we talked about the fact that Dr. Lucen he kind of like revamped this winery in 1996, and he came in and kind of switched things up. So obviously Dr. Lucen, well, maybe not obviously, Dr. Lucen could be a woman doctor. Hello, but he's not. He's a guy. So, and then Villa Wolf doesn't really tell us anything either. It just says Ernst Lucen, which is clearly not a female winemaker as well. So who is the female winemaker for this wine?
Yeah, so for this wine, we have Sami Gebauer, and she is our female winemaker. And the thing is, you said it before, that we have Dr. Lucen, and there's a big team in this winery, and Sumi Gebauer is a part of this team, and she makes this beautiful Sekt for us.
So basically, when he took over the winery in 1996, he took over the vineyards, and he brought his own team in. So he like completely revamped the Villa Wolf winery.
Yes. And also the special thing is that we have the winery in Pfalz, and also he has another winery in the Mosel region. And so he had the chance to make, on the one hand, really good Riesling. On the other hand, in Pfalz, he can do really good Pinot Noir, especially for our Spätburgunder Rosé. And at the moment, we have a really big rosé boom all over the world. So all people really like rosé. I do, because it's like the Riesling. It's a really good all-rounder. You can drink it with friends, you can drink it on a party, you can compare it really good to some nice dishes, and also it's a really good base wine for making Sekt. So rosé is really nice.
I agree. And I said earlier, like, I drink rosé all the time, and I drink sparkling wine all the time, and I love sparkling rosé. It's like combining two of my favorite things. So yeah, this is 100% Pinot Noir rosé. And we talked a little bit about the fact that Germany actually grows quite a bit of Pinot Noir. And you said it's from the Pfalz region. What else should we know about this region?
Yeah, so of course we do a lot of Pinot Noir here in Germany, not only Riesling. Often people think Germans only known for Riesling, but we have nice Pinot Noir and other grape varieties. And yeah, the Pfalz is known for good Pinot Noir. We have other regions as well, for example, Württemberg or the Ahr region. There's a lot of Pinot Noir. And in the Pfalz, we have the largest red wine region in Germany. And they do
largest
really,
red wine region in Germany?
Yeah, genau.
Okay.
Right. And so we have some really nice facts in the Pfalz. So one thing is that we have the German Wine Road. And this German Wine Road connects different little wine villages, and you can go through it and go into lots of wineries and taste some really nice wine. And also we have the biggest wine festival there, the biggest wine barrel, and so some really fun facts as well. So if you come to Germany, you should visit the Pfalz, and especially the biggest wine festival, because it's so cool. So much fun.
Yes, once we can travel.
Yeah.
I would absolutely love, and I'm sure everyone on here would feel the same way. Like, wouldn't we all love to go to Germany to go to the biggest wine festival? Yeah. So how do we make this happen, Wines of Germany team? Like, COVID's over. Let's go celebrate. We want to see Effa. We want to go to the festival. Let's make this whole thing happen.
And I would like to travel to America. So
right? Yeah. Exactly. We all want to travel.
It's a little bit sad, but I think we find a good solution with our online tasting, and so we can connect all these places together tonight, and it's really cool.
It is. And the Pfalz is also, I mentioned this earlier, but it's definitely one of the warmer and drier regions. So you're going to get like riper grapes, which I think is definitely coming through with this.
Yes.
This is the only wine we're tasting today that's not made in the traditional method. This is made in the tank method or Charmat method, and it's also $14.99, so that makes sense. But again, like, I think it's just like a super fun kind of something different to bring somewhere. Like, again, people aren't necessarily, like you said, they're not really thinking of Germany with Pinot Noir. So if you bring a sparkling Pinot Noir from Germany to a party, a lot of people are like, oh, really? I didn't even know they had that there, you know, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and I think the color is a really good thing, because this rosé color is really good for young people. They really like this color and say, oh, it looks nice. It looks like a really cool drink. Let's try it. And yeah, it's like a magnet.
It's just easy drinking. I mean, this wine, I feel like you could definitely have it with food, but for me, I feel like it's just like something I could just kind of drink outside. It's just like easy and fun and just like kind of mouth puckering and delicious. And
Yeah, maybe a
just
good
like
starter for an
yeah,
event or for a party, just to have one glass of sect and go into it.
exactly. Yeah. Anything else? What else should we know? I know like this is kind of an interesting one because Ernst Lucen has his own name he puts on his other wines from the Mosel, and then we have these wines that he's making at Villa Wolf. What else should we know about this winery?
So I think the special is that Dr. Lucen believes that that the great wines need some really passion of the winemakers and also really good soil and climate. And yeah, so uh, it's just the difference between the Mosel region and the Pfalz region, that he can do different wines, and so he can, yeah, like find really nice Riesling there and Pinot Noir or other great varieties in the Pfalz.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that his stuff, and I'm sure like most people here have tried one of his wines. Like we did a tasting of his sparkling Riesling before, which was super delicious.
Okay.
So, I mean,
Yeah.
he's pretty famous, and I didn't know, like his name is on the bottle, but it's pretty small. So I didn't actually realize that he's associated with this wine, but I've seen this wine, like it's definitely widely available. So it's pretty cool. But yeah, I think it's a great kind of way to like wrap things up with a sparkling rosé. It's super fun. We had like a really good variety of a super cool, high quality brut Sekt Riesling. We had our organic biodynamic, just like powerhouse kind of like family making sparkling wines, biodynamic, really delicate kind of champagne method. And then with the champagne grapes, Pinot Noir and Pinot Meunier, and then ending with this kind of like easy, fun Pinot Noir rosé from Villa Wolf. So I think we had like a really awesome kind of showcase of Sekt. And of course, female winemakers being involved in all of them makes it super cool. But yeah, does anyone have any other questions or Effas or anything else that you wanted to throw out there before we wrap up?
So yeah, I think we have a lot of information about the sect now. Yeah, and you said a lot to yeah, Germany as the sect growing area. So we drink a lot of sect here in Germany, per head 3 liter for a year, and that's a lot for Germany. And
Yeah.
we really like sect, and I hope that we can bring sect into the world and yeah, make it famous.
This is so good. This definitely has a little more residual sugar than the other ones. But it's like really a nice way to end. Like I'm glad we ended with this because it's perfect. But yeah, we want to drink more Sekt too, for sure. We definitely want more of it here. I think this was like, I learned a lot when just kind of like going through everything and researching for this class. So I'm definitely going to be on the lookout for more sparkling German wine or Sekt. But I just wanted to thank everyone. I want to thank you, Effa. I want to thank the Wines of Germany team. I'm going to hand it back over to Danielle. But I'm Morgan, again, from Vino Vinyasa. We do Zoom classes, and most of them are actually free to consumers. It's just like, it's great to try to find the wines. And I always put like where you can find the wines on the Eventbrite page. We did 2 with Wines of Germany before. If anyone's interested in checking those classes out, we did a Riesling class, and then we did a German wines beyond Riesling, where we had other grape varieties that we focused on. So we can send you those recordings if you're interested, but we do have lots of events coming up. You can check out my website, vinovinyasayoga.com, and follow me on Instagram, Vino Vinyasa Yoga. But it was really lovely to teach this for you guys. Lovely to meet you, Effa, and talk to you about these wines. And yeah, Danielle, I'm gonna hand it back over to you.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Morgan, and thank you, Eva. It was a lovely class, both, getting to stretch and wind down for the weekend, but also tasting through these lovely sparkling wines. So just wanted to end with a final cheers to everyone. And to Morgan's point, Vino Vinyasa has a great roster of classes, always coming up with something fun and different. We also have lots of more events coming up for the German Wine from Home series. So for those of you registered for anything next week, we look forward to seeing you again. But until then, Prost and enjoy your weekend, everyone.
Prost.